Texas is reportedly planning to expand those floating buoy border barriers in anticipation of this migrant surge ahead of Trump's inauguration. Tell me what it looks like today at the border. And, you know, you keep pushing back. I mean, the Biden administration tried to get you to remove these buoys,
right,
and you held firm. Are they effective in keeping people out? And where are the plans going now?
So these buoys were designed by the Border Patrol because they were, in fact, effective at denying illegal entry. And they gave them to Biden to put into the river himself. And Biden said he wouldn't use them. I said, well, I'll use them. And I put them in the river. And as soon as I put them in the river, Joe Biden files a lawsuit to put a stop to it. And I told Joe Biden to stick it, that we are keeping the buoys in the river. They've remained in the river ever since then. What we're doing this morning, we are expanding those buoys in the river. They are completely effective at denying illegal entry, and a byproduct, they cost less than building a border wall, which Texas is doing also. So this is a way to expand our protection or preventing people from entering into the state of Texas.
God, I was, reading stuff this morning on Operation Aurora, and people in Aurora are getting all worked up. The false narratives. Well, the whole Biden thing with Texas is just insane. I mean, these are buoys meant to protect the United States border and Texas's border, southern border. And the Biden administration won't use them. It's just like they want to just have, whomever run train on the United States. What is up with that? Democrats, you lost because you have this attitude. Just let everybody in. It's going to be a great party. And then you've got the Lake and Riley thing, and people are like, oh, good Lord, that's not good. That's not good. You just got a bunch of shenanigans going on that shouldn't be going on. It's absolutely absurd. It's insane. And so Texas pushing back like this, I'm all for it. A secure border. The border where drugs came through that killed my son Brennan. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just, what world are we living in where this is okay? It's not okay. Let's see what Texas is up to. Texas authorities added even more buoys, good, to the Rio Grande on Wednesday to stop illegal crossing after the Biden administration unsuccessfully sued the state over its floating border barriers. So let's get this clear. Let's be very, very clear here. The Biden administration is suing the state of Texas for securing its border. Make that make sense. In what world does this make any sense? No, you know what? Let's just let the drugs come across. Let's just let the, whomever coming across. I'm not saying everybody that's coming across is a bad amigo, right? They're just not. But enough of them are, and we're not vetting them to the point where you've got the Lake and Riley deal happening en masse. I mean, this is not a one-off. And if you're not, familiar with Lake and Riley, Georgia, state of Georgia, she's out doing a morning jog, health, fitness kind of thing. Some illegal that crossed into the country a couple of times illegally. He's out hunting for women. He said he was literally hunting for women. And he gets a hold of one, Lake and Riley, and tries to sexually assault her, tries his best. She doesn't give up. She pushes back. She says no. And so the guy takes a rock and bashes in her head and murders her. Simple as that, right? So if you want to let those kind of folks in, then sue the state of Texas because they're putting too many buoys up. Otherwise, I'm going to say, Greg Abbott, you go, boy. You just do your thing. Do your thing. Despite the Biden-Harris administration's attempts to shut down our border security efforts, the buoys are here to stay. Now, I got to see them when I was in, I didn't see them from close up. I got to see them kind of down the river a ways. They were kind of far off from where I was in Eagle Pass, but they were there, and it was a long run. And even from where I was, you could see kind of how far they went. They're big. I mean, you can't hop up and over them. You can't swim around them. You know what I mean? It's just a no-go. So Republican Governor Greg Abbott posted on X along with a video showing a section of interconnected washing machine-size orbs that spin when grabbed being lowered into the water. We won't back down from our mission to deter and repel illegal immigration, he added. Officials in border states are bracing for a possible surge of migrants to the border as illegal crossers rush to try to get into the U.S. before President-elect Trump takes office. You're going to have a few thousand that are going to make a run for it, but you're not going to have the numbers that we had during the fourth quarter of 2023 when you had 302,000 illegals come through the southern border in December, in just December. You're not going to see those numbers again. Those numbers are a distant image in the past. You've got people who are just like, well, I got nothing to lose staying here in Venezuela or Honduras or Colombia or wherever. Let's make a run for it. Let's see what happens. And, they're trying to escape a place that's way worse than the fate, looking forward. Even if they get deported, okay, but at least we're not in Venezuela. But there's so many folks that are coming into our country that are unvetted. And things like the Lake and Riley simply shouldn't be happening. Period. Right? So border protection, yeah, I'm okay with that. Who in the right mind would say, oh no, you got to take those out. Got to make it easier for people to get into the country. That's why Democrats lost so badly, because of mentality like this. It's just insane. While there have been groups of dozens of immigrants caught, so far the uptick is not materialized, sources said earlier this week. The new barricades added to a 1,000-foot string of existing barricades Texas placed in the Rio Grande in June of 2023 near Eagle Pass, a notorious hotspot for drug trafficking and human smuggling. And that's why I was down there in January. And then I think in April or March, something like that. And so I got to see a lot of this. Like the razor wire was, double rows of razor wire. I wouldn't be going through that. Just no go. So here's construction equipment placing this in the water. The tractors, it's relatively shallow water where they're placing these barriers. So you've got construction equipment out in the middle of the river, just kind of running around. People are wading across this river. When it gets a little bit higher, it's a swim, but for the most part, you're just wading and it's a dangerous deal. There are people drowned when I was there and, just a lot of blame on, it shouldn't be happening. Yeah. Well, you shouldn't have let all these folks be coming across the border like they were either. You made the United States, a sieve for illegals to come in, and that's going to end. These have been so successful that not a single migrant has attempted to cross over them. You can't. They rotate. They float in the water. They're on, kind of like a string connected, and they roll. So you grab them and you're just, grabbing that big ball comes down on you. The floating wall kicked off a legal battle between the Lone Star State and the Biden administration, which sued to have the barriers removed. They were claiming that, this is inhumane, this is terrible, claiming that they violated the Federal Rivers and Harbor Act. Democrats, this is why you lost. This kind of nonsense, sheer nonsense. This has no place. You violate, whatever. You're full of it. And clearly you're full of it because you know what? A judge said, hey, you're full of it. So a district court initially sided with the feds. Remember that for a second? The court said, oh, yeah, you can't have those up. But Greg Abbott didn't back down. He said, well, we're going to appeal. But the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals later ruled the barriers could stay because it was a matter of national security. Huh. Yeah. Come to find out that just letting literally millions and millions of illegals across the border may not have been the smartest move that the Democrats have ever made. Specifically, Joe Biden and his border czar, Kamala Harris, probably will go down as one of the worst candidates in politics in history for that position. I'm going to go on Club Shay Shay. I'm going to go on Club. I'm going to go on Call Her Daddy podcast. Call Her Daddy. Mind-blowing. Supreme Court will likely decide the fate of the buoys, but in the meantime, Abbott is happy to keep dropping them in the drink. Despite the Biden administration fighting us every step of the way, courts have ruled that Texas has the right to deploy floating marine barriers, and Texas is installing even more of these barriers to stop illegal immigration into our state. Remember when the Biden administration said, you need to take off the razor wire, it's dangerous, people are getting caught in it. That's the point, you dipshit. I mean, this stuff is so basic. You've got a border for a reason. Yeah, weird. Although the 1,000-foot barrier does little to fully plug the roughly 1,200-mile border, they may have helped thwart illegal crossings in and around Eagle Pass, which plummeted to 8,500 last month from 38,000 in the same month last year. So what are we? Yeah, we are. And then it just absolutely exploded across the southern border in December. We're talking November here, 38,000. Think about that. 38,000 in November into a town of 22,000. And then there were town of 28,000. You get 38,000. I mean, incredible numbers. No wonder they had them out in there, underneath the kind of bridges they have for the border crossing. I mean, no wonder they had them just lined up in the fields. It was nuts because you had thousands and thousands and thousands that had come across. Unauthorized crossings have dropped across the border after the Biden administration, seeking to ease border anxiety ahead of the presidential election, imposed new restrictions on asylum seekers' ability to remain in the country after entering illegally. The whole thing is just absolutely absurd. Absolutely absurd. It's mind-blowing how backwards the whole Biden administration approach was to this. It was on purpose. I'll let them in. This will be a fun experiment. Let's see how this goes. Ask Lake and Riley ask her parents how that experience went. Yeah, ask me with my son being dead how that experience went. Drugs that we know manufactured in China, distributed to Mexico, cartels put them together, run them over a wide open southern border, make it to Seattle, upper left USA. They're all over the United States. And you've got, 100,000, 110,000 people a year dying from overdoses, and 70-80% of those are fentanyl, including my son. And then you've got this stuff the Biden administration's trying to do where they're literally pushing back. And you're like, why? Why are you doing, what are you doing this for? What's your purpose here? Well, we'd like to get a few more voters into the United States. That's the only reasonable explanation I can see other than the degradation of society in general. Let's just throw, thousands and thousands of Haitians into Springfield, Illinois to find out what happens. We'll just see. I mean, it's a good experiment. Hey, how you guys doing? Well, they're eating the cats, right? They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. Guaranteed, there's going to be a video out at some point in time. Some family chomping down on Fluffy the cat and Fido the dog. Yeah, can't wait. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. I'll catch up with you on the next one. Bye for now.